Next, your God and my God placed a blessing on this day and sanctified it, or set this day apart for a special holy purpose. God blessed and sanctified this day because on this day God rested from creating. Genesis 2:3, and God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because that in it he rested from all his work which God created and made. How can that ever change? How can the fact that God rested on this day and blessed and sanctified this day because of his creation rest ever change? The day that Christ was resurrected does not affect the reason for keeping the seventh day holy. Christ being resurrected on Sunday does not affect the fact that God rested on and blessed the seventh day. One doesn't have anything to do with the other, nor can it change it. So that day and reason for honoring that day can never change. Thousands of years later in Egypt, God testifies that his blessed seventh day continues to be important to him, in honoring him as Creator. God gave the Hebrews a law with commandments, and in the very heart of that law, God reminded the Hebrews to continue to remember the day that honors him as Creator. Exodus 28, remember the Sabbath day, to keep it holy. God reminds the Hebrews that he worked to make the creation for them, and he did it in 6 creation days. So they too are to follow God in his example. They too are to work 6 days and rest on the 7th. Exodus 29, 6 days thou shalt labor and do all thy work. But the 7th day is a rest for them, because God rested on the 7th day. Exodus 20:10, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughters, nor manservants, nor maidservants, nor the cattle, nor the stranger that is within your gates. And once more, because it was so important that the 7th day rest acknowledged God as Creator, once more God reminded them of this unchangeable fact. Exodus 20:11, for in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth and sea and all that is in them, and rested this 7th day. Wherefore, because of this, the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and he hallowed it. Then thousands of years later, another person named Jesus Christ also kept the memorial day to the Creator and his creation and his creating work. He kept the 7th day, but by now man had begun to serve this day as a little god to be worshipped, rather than what it really was, a gift from God. God had sentenced Adam to work 7 days a week to earn his daily bread in the sweat of his brow. Genesis 3:19, in the sweat of thy face shall thou eat bread, until thou return to the ground, for out of it thou wast taken, for dust thou art, and unto dust thou shalt return. But since God took the 7th day and declared that memorial day to be a day of rest, God also made that day his undeserved gift to Adam and all of Adam's children. God allowed Adam to grow enough food and provisions, working 6 days to feed himself and his family for 7. Jesus, then recognizing that man had lost his way in keeping of the 7th day and was treating it as a chore and a duty rather than a blessing and a gift, taught the Pharisees the correct way to keep the 7th day holy. Mark 2:23-28, and it came to pass that he went through the cornfields on the Sabbath day, and his disciples began as they went to pluck ears from the corn. And the Pharisees said unto him, behold, why do they on the Sabbath day do that which is not lawful? And he said unto them, have ye ever read what David said when he needed and he was hungry? He and them that were with him, how they went into the house of God in the days of Abiathar the high priest, and did eat his showbread, which is not lawful to eat, but for the priests. The priests are the only ones that can eat that, and gave also to them which were with him. And he said unto them, the Sabbath was made for man, and not man for the Sabbath. And then Jesus said something strange. He said that he was the person that is honored as Creator by the seventh-day Sabbath. Jesus was that Lord. Mark 2:28, therefore the Son of Man is Lord also of the Sabbath. And Scripture confirms that Jesus is the Lord Creator. Jesus confirms his position of all the things being created by him and through him, thus making him Lord of the creation and Lord of the seventh day. The Sabbath day honors Jesus as Creator. Colossians 1:13 through 19. Who has delivered us from the power of darkness and has translated us into the kingdom of his dear Son, in whom we have redemption through his blood, even the forgiveness of sins. Who is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of every creature? For by him were all things created that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities or powers. All things were created by him and for him. And he is before all things, and by him all things consist, and he is the head of the body of the church, who is the beginning, the firstborn from the dead, that in all things he might have preeminence. For it pleased the Father that in him should all fullness dwell. Did you get that, friends? The seventh day rest from creating honors Jesus. Jesus was the one who created all things. And when he rested, he blessed the seventh day. He sanctified it for a holy purpose. The seventh day belongs to Jesus Christ. The seventh-day Sabbath is made for and gives honor to and recognizes the fact that Jesus is the Creator God who rested on the seventh day. Mark 2:28, therefore the Son of Man is Lord also of the Sabbath.